Hi, Hiram here. The other day I did a video where I made spam and beans, but I used a can of baked beans. And in the video I had said that I usually use dry beans, or dehydrated beans rather, when I go out on the trail or camping. If I do car camping or cabin camping, or even if I, in the winter, with using a pulk, then I like to use cans because the weight's no big deal. But if I'm going to go out hiking or whatever, I usually dehydrate them. Anyway, I had a bunch of people asking me, how do I do that? It's pretty easy. I thought I'd show you here. But the one thing you need for dehydrating is a dehydrator, or some people do them in their ovens. I've never tried that. I have an American harvester that I use. One of the things I look at when I'm going to dehydrate them is the fat content of the beans. The ones that I used the other day out of the can, I think they were fairly heavy in fat. This is another one that I like, Bush's, but this has a total fat content. There's 6 servings in the can, and it's 1 gram of fat for each serving, so there's 6 grams of fat in here. The problem is fat doesn't dehydrate very well, so I try to get things that don't have a lot of fat in them. Plus, I guess fat's bad for you. These are just kind of plain beans from my local grocery store, but being plain, 6 servings again, but there's only a half of a gram of fat in here, so this only has like 3 grams of fat. So this is the one I'm going to use for dehydrating. Now, in my American harvester, it comes with multiple trays, but in this case I'm just going to use one. And I also use, they have different levels. This one has 4 that I have, just like this, that you can put fruit on, berries, things like that, carrots, celery. But if I pour beans on this, it's going to go right through. So I'm going to use, or I always use, my fruit leather tray that goes on this. So I'll just pour the beans on this. Okay, let me open this real quick. You just pour them on this tray. Now, other people have just used trays like this, but they put saran wrap across the grid work so that your juices and beans and things just don't fall through. Now this, even though it says 6 servings, that's not meant that if this was the main meal. This will be a good serving for 2 people. Let me see if I can pour it on here without really messing it. So you just empty the can, put it on the tray, watch to see, that I don't want. Not for dehydrating anyway. It's a big hunk of fat. I'll take that out and put it back in the can. So you just take all of this out, all the juice and everything. Keep it on the tray there. Okay, and then you just kind of spread it out so it's not real thick. Now again, like I said, here's a piece of bacon fat. All good if you are just going to cook it, but for dehydrating, it just doesn't work too well. So just kind of spread this out. And this should fit all on one tray. Now, when I do dehydrating, I usually do it at night, last thing at night, and then by morning, a lot of the stuff will be done. Okay, I got my juices there going up against the edge. Okay. So there we have the beans all spread out. I've got the temperature turned up to 145, which is the highest that this one will go. You really wouldn't want it much higher because you want to dry the stuff. You don't want to cook it in here. So the air's blowing through. It'll heat up soon. Put the lid on. And like I said, I do this last thing at night so that this stuff can just sit here. Come morning, 8, 9 hours later, we'll check this out and see what it looks like. So I'll see you in the morning. Okay, I'm back. It's a little after 9 o'clock in the morning, so let me just shut this off. So this has been going for about 10 hours. Let's see what it looks like. Huh? Looks pretty nice and dried. Yep. I don't know if you can see that. They're all dried out. What juice was in there, is that focusing? What juice that was in there is kind of like a leather now. So I'm pretty sure this is all dried out. What I'll do now is break, remove the beans and put them in a package, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I've got it all cleaned off. Just scraped it off this. Now some people put oil on these sheets, but then that goes back to the fat not dehydrating and stuff. So I usually just leave it set on this leather tray. I think this was last night I did this, so I forget. But instead of just the tray with the holes in it, I put this fruit leather liner on this. Some people just use saran wrap. But anyway, I just scraped that off, put it in a bag. So let me move this out of the way. Now before you bag it, whatever it is you're drying, you should let it cool off. There's a little bit of heat in this when you first take it off the tray. Now I just put it in a regular seal bag. You could put it in a vacuum bag. If I'm doing it for a longer trip, I have a vacuum machine that I put them in the little pouches. But I'm probably going to make this in the next day or so and do another video of this with Spam. Now some of the weight, excuse me, what was lost in this, what I do is I weigh the can and dump the beans out, then have the take away to the can and that piece of fat that I threw away, so I can get just the weight of the beans. Now when the beans were wet, they were 799.8 grams, or let's see, 1.766 pounds. So what that does is then you can get a water weight on this, how much water was left or how much water was taken out. And it works out to about 2.2 cups of water. So if you go 2 cups is equal to a pint, and a pint's a pound the world around, all that stuff. I saved about, what did I save here? Pint, cup. Yeah, I saved about a pound. So there's about a pound of water gone out of this. So if you're going to a place where you got plenty of water, you got it made. You have to excuse me on the numbers, it's a little early in the morning. So now all I have to do to rehydrate this is get myself a little more than 2 cups, about 2 1/4 cups of hot water, and this will be right back to the way it was out of the can. So for those of you that asked, excuse me, for those of you that asked how I dehydrate my beans, I hope this helps. Like I said, I've seen people do it in the oven. I happen to have a couple of dehydrators, so I use them, but it's not a big deal. And this stuff will keep for a pretty long time. So I hope that helps. I thank you for watching. I look forward to your input, questions, remarks, helpful suggestions. And as always, watch for my buddy Max. Bye now.